Much for the introduction, Danielle. Welcome everybody. It's great to be here with you today. As Danielle mentioned, I'll be your host for today. But the focus is not on me. As many of you know, Adam Bighill is number 4 with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the reigning Grey Cup champions. And we're absolutely honored to have Adam here with us today to share his story as well as his important message. And we're going to get right into things. And I'm going to hand things over to Adam right now. So, Adam, thank you so much for joining us here today and welcome. The Zoom is yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Kariym. Thank you, Danielle. Yeah, awesome to be here, guys. I see some familiar faces. Cindy, I see you there. So good to see you. Yeah, really happy to be here and be able to speak to you guys. This is going to be my 11th year playing professional football. And why is that important? As soon as I became a professional athlete, the one thing I immediately knew I wanted to do was use my platform to help others in the facial difference community. Um, so I grew up with a cleft lip and palate, bilateral cleft lip and palate. Oh, quick shout out to Wendy. Wendy, how's it going? Good to see you. Yeah, so I was born with a bilateral cleft lip and palate. Um, so obviously growing up with that's the reason why the first year I became a professional athlete, why I wanted to give back to this community and be able to share my story, be able to share positivity, and be able to highlight that you can do anything you set your mind to. And that's really where a lot of this message in my talk today is going to go around, is me just helping to reaffirm that no matter what it is or that is in front of you with your challenge or your difficulty or your difference, it really doesn't matter when it comes to you accomplishing your dreams or whatever it is that you want to achieve. And I think that's one of the biggest hangups and biggest things I see challenging people, is that they feel that they're different and they feel that they're not capable or able to be able to accomplish some of the things that other people can. And that's just absolutely not true. And I've met so many amazing people in this community that are doing and have done such amazing things. And I just want to be able to continue to reaffirm that. So by the end of the day, hopefully that is a message that you guys all kind of take to heart and move forward with and empower you, and to be really truly the best you can be. Um, so once again, I'll kind of just get into it and start. So growing up, I was born with a bilateral cleft lip and palate. Um, you know, I can't remember how many surgeries it was by the time I was 12, but I think it was somewhere around four to five. Um, Growing up with a facial difference is hard. You are different than other kids, and kids notice that at a young age pretty quick. So I was bullied as a young child. So that for me was tough. Um, but for me, I also noticed one thing when I was growing up too, is that you know, as a young kid, I was very, I guess I was a natural when it came to sports and athletics. Even my dad said when I was 2 years old, I'd be running around the house tackling him or my uncles at full speed, or diving off of couches with no fear. So I guess from a young age, I've kind of had that energy and tenacity. But yeah, growing up, even at the 5-year-old mark, where I was playing t-ball. I don't really remember asking this, but my dad was like, you first time you went there, you're asking the coach if they could just take the tee away and then they can throw you the ball so you can hit it, because hitting off the tee was too easy for you. So it was things like that where I guess early on I had a pretty good affinity to sports, a pretty good natural talent and ability. And I think it was when I was 7 years old, I told my parents I wanted to play professional football. That was really the first goal I ever set. And that was coming off of my first year of playing football as a kid, and first time getting to experience it. Um, so I kind of at that point, as a young kid, um, getting into school, there's a lot of things I had to deal with that were just other people didn't, right? Like, I had to start going to speech class, and speech was a part of everything I had to do twice a week moving forward. um, you know, Orthodontist appointments started coming along of trying to make sure that teeth were getting aligned and everything. And so just kind of listing out some of the challenges a lot of other people aren't really worrying about at this point. Other kids aren't really worrying about. For me, it was normal and even kind of fun every semi-annually, twice a year, going to the hospital to go and see the craniofacial team and seeing all the doctors and going through the rounds and spending 4 or 5 hours there all day long seeing everybody, and then going home. We've had a 2 hour drive when we would go do that. So I don't know, I always found those days kind of fun, and I always remember those. It was a good day and a road trip with my dad. I got to be able to hang out and do that. Always take me for some good food and stuff like that. So I mean, those were kind of things that were just really normal that I actually enjoyed. And as a young person, you don't know that that's any different. And for me, I was just that was fun for me. Um, you know, but growing up now, going into school, like I said, bullying was probably one of the first issues I had to deal with going into first grade and onward, of just trying to assimilate and make friends and try to just live my normal life like everybody's living their normal life. Um, and I kind of bring it back to sports, and the fact that I was just a very competitive kid in sports. And I think it was, and I still say this today, is I do have a chip on my shoulder, and I think I always have, from being born different than others, right? So for me, I always have the mentality of wanting to prove somebody wrong. Um, and you know, I guess to explain this right now, the idea for me is that I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't the challenge that I was given when I was born. I'm pretty sure I can say that, because this chip on my shoulder, to be so competitive and to drive myself to be better and compete harder and do more than others is really, I think, so positively impacted myself and my career in my life that, if I look and I said, and I took it away, I don't know if I'd be who I am today. So I think it's kind of ironic, and it's amazing that, maybe one of the biggest challenges that I was ever given with my life and growing up is also the best gift I've ever could have gotten, because of the things that it has allowed me to do. Um, so yeah, I was very competitive, and that just led me to playing lots of sports and team sports. And the way I figured it is if I was so good on the field or on the court, um, everyone on the field had to respect me. You had to respect me if I was going to go beat you up and down the court or beat you on the field, run past you, score touchdowns. You're going to have to respect me, um, because that, I mean, you cannot ignore that, right? So that's something that I took at a young age, and really used to my advantage. And that's how I really started making a lot of friends, was through sports. Um, and for me, that was really great. That was a great way for me to start getting assimilated into going to school and making friends and living a daily life, and stop feeling like I'm different and being who I am. Um, so along those lines, I remember, um, you know, every day my dad would be checking on me and just asking, was there any issues today at school? Was anybody bullying you? Is there anything I need to talk to the teachers about? And, a lot of the times, they're, at first, I'd tell them some issues, and then things got better, and then I wouldn't have to really be mentioning anything. Um, but the one thing I'd say that sometimes that, there were kids that would bully me at certain times, and I'd tell my dad, no, no, it's okay, no one bothered me today. And I think one thing going back is as a young kid, I wish I would have told my dad or teachers or more people that I might have been having a tough time with somebody. So when it comes to bullying, I think, when you are getting bullied, the best thing you can do is advocate for yourself. And that can be hard to do, but I want to let you guys know that if I was going to go back and do one thing different, I think that's one thing I would definitely do different, is advocate for myself more, and definitely speak up, and let people know, let the teacher know, let your parents know, because adults have the ability to handle these things in a capacity that you can't, and really affect and make change. So, you know, you obviously can speak up to the bully yourself and let them know how you're feeling and say, hey, I don't like when you do that, so stop. And if that doesn't work, definitely take it to an adult. But so yeah, that's one thing I wish I would have done more of. But I mean, at the end of the day, kind of the moral of the story was, growing up, my dad and my mom really did a good job making sure that I was feeling comfortable and I was growing up trying to be as normal as possible. um, it wasn't, experiencing bullying every single day, or if I was, they're going to do something about it. Um, and when it comes to bullying too, I mean, I do think you have to protect yourself. If any physical bullying happens, I mean, you do have to protect yourself. So I mean, parenting and choices are always different across the board. But yeah, my dad always told me, no matter what, always protect yourself. And if you have to show a kid not to mess with you, then that's what you got to do. So, um, there was a couple times I was in the principal's office, and um, you know, the principal knew, and so I never really got in trouble. They just had to kind of send me to the principal's office for I guess just for protocol. But there was never any issues there, just because um, they knew I was protecting myself and so forth. But um, things for me, I just mentioned that because things early on are the toughest, because that's when we're all trying to learn to build our most confidence and really to find out who we are, what we're passionate about, what we enjoy doing, and what we love in life. And we all need to make sure we find those things. And the rest of this kind of talk is about learning how to curate and build your ability in the things that you love. So, going forward. Making more friends and being more comfortable with who I was and building a skill set in athletics and sports. That's kind of the route I kept going down. And being so competitive, I kind of took that to everything. It was with school, it was with sports, it was just with everything. It was just trying to be a good person, and do all the things that, I think make you a good human being, and treat others the way you want to be treated. That's something I always wanted someone to do to me. That's something I'm always going to do with somebody else. um yeah, and so growing up, I mean, yeah, my dad had a lot of good influence on me as far as helping shaping me and so forth. And there's a couple things he said. I remember when I told him I want to be a professional athlete when I was 7. He told me, you can do anything you want in life as long as you put in the time and you put in the work. And so, I mean, I clearly believed him that all I got to do is work hard and put in the time, and I can do whatever I want. Well, I can do that, right? Like, so, I mean, I fully believed him, and that's kind of some of the things I lived on. Another thing he told me, which I always thought was pretty special, is that I remember asking him, why. I remember asking him, why was I given this challenge? Like, why was I born like this? And I remember him saying that, God gave you this challenge, but he also gave you incredible athletic abilities to make up for it. So that's something I firmly believed in when I was a very young kid. Um, and I think that even empowered me even more, because I almost felt like I was a superhero, you know? Like I almost felt like, okay, well, I don't have something, but I got something else that other people don't have. And I've kind of always used that to my power as well. Um, and then, kind of sure enough, fast forwarding, like, it kind of just resonates with that story that I wouldn't be who I am today if I wasn't for the challenge that I was given, for sure. Um, because I mean, growing up and moving forward, going into high school, Um, you know, my ability in sports was clearly, I was clearly better than a lot of the guys on my team and a lot of people in my school, and so for me, um, what I really focused on was, what kind of that chip on my shoulders, it was being the best, and talking about competing, talking about, separating yourself. My idea was, well, if I wanted to be like an all-state player or be ranked in the county, I wanted to work harder and do more than anybody in my county or anybody in my state. And if I do that, that's guaranteed way I'm going to become an all-state or all, conference player. Because if I outwork somebody and I put more effort in and I train harder than them and I work harder than them, then I should be the one to be able to go out on the field, display that ability, and get the awards that I want to get, and make sure people see me as the athlete I want to be. So that's kind of was my focus. Once again, that competition in me, that chip on my shoulder, and the idea that if you just want something, just go work for it. And that's really where the a lot of my success has come from in my entire life is, I wasn't born with incredible athletic stature or frame. I'm currently 5'10", 225 pounds. There's not too many 5'10" professional linebackers out there in the NFL, played in the NFL or played in the CFL. There's just not a lot. So, as far as, I wasn't born with all of the God-given height, weight, length, speed that everybody thinks that you have to have. And I think that's part of what makes a lot of my stories so powerful is that, I really was an underdog throughout this entire time. I went to a small school. Um, I was undersized. I was a kid with a facial difference who had to find his way to, through my own path there to be able to then figure out how to compete an elite level. And that's one thing that, I kind of take for granted, that I was able to figure that out so quickly, and be able to push myself in that path so aggressively. But I mean, that is the whole first piece that you have to accomplish before you're going to accomplish anything else, is being able to be comfortable with that and moving forward with that. Um, so, I mean, kind of at that stage, for me, that competitiveness and that ability and is really kind of what makes the story what it is that, once again, it doesn't take talent or the perfect looking face or anything to work hard. Like, we all have the ability to work hard, and it's something that we're passionate about. What do you love? What makes you happy? How can you, find a way to do that and have fun and enjoy what you do? And how can you be the best at it? Um, for me, I've just always had the passion and that competitiveness and the drive to be the best at what I wanted to do. Um, and once again, it wasn't an easy road. There was a lot of sacrifice. There was a lot of struggle. There was a lot of, people that doubted me along the way. Um, like, every step along the way, it was not easy. And I guess the way I kind of explain it is that, all I ever needed was an opportunity. Okay. And I think that's the most important thing that we can all ask for, is an opportunity. But when the opportunity comes, the important part is making sure that you're ready to take advantage of that opportunity, because opportunities don't always come around. And when they do come around, that opportunity is only available during the lifetime of that opportunity, right? So we have to take advantage, and so for me, it's a way that you kind of explain, well, you can create your own luck, right? If you work hard and you prepare to be the best at whatever it is you want to be, and then you get an opportunity to display that or show that, it's not like this was a surprise upon you. You've been preparing for that moment. You've been preparing for that opportunity, and now it comes up, and now it's time to showcase what it is that you're capable of. Um, and so, I mean, I think like a good way to explain this through a sports analogy was that, in my first year when I was playing professional football, I wasn't a starting linebacker. I was on special teams. I was kind of in a supporting role. Um, but I every week I prepared myself like I was the starting linebacker, like I was going to be going out and taking every single snap on defense, even though I wasn't going to, because there was guys that the team wanted to be playing instead of me, as a rookie. So I understood that. But should the chance happen that somebody gets hurt and they put me in, I'm going to be ready to take advantage of that opportunity. And sure enough, that's what happened. I got some play time in my rookie year and was able to impress and do a lot of great things. And the contrast to that is that there was guys on my team that if they are not the starter, they were not putting in the work, preparing like they were the starter. They were not doing as much, right? So they were not preparing or making sure they were ready for that opportunity. And they were okay being where they were at that time until someone said they got the opportunity. Then they wanted to work hard. Then they wanted to try to show it, right? But a lot of times that's when it's a little bit too late. You know, they clearly were not preparing for the opportunity. And when it came up, it's kind of a surprise to them. They want to go try to take advantage of it, but they're not quite ready. Um, so for me, that's just kind of just a reminder in my own story, in my own life, and for others out there that we don't need a reminder or a specific um, point to be urgent with what we're going to do and trying to better ourselves. I mean, we don't have to wait for someone to tell us to do it. We can do it on our own. We don't need anybody um, to say, no, it's your turn. Now you need to go do this. It's something that, I want you guys and I encourage you guys to figure out what it is you're passionate about, and what it is you want to do, and go all in it, because um, you know that the surprising part is that there's so many people in this world, and playing professional football, there's such a small percentage amount of people that actually get to play professional football. Um, but the way I look at it is that, like, the harder you're willing to work, the less people you have to compete with. And so it's actually easier, right? Like, I'm actually competing with less people now than I was back in high school or college. Um, if you kind of understand it, like, the more you're willing to do, just think about it. Like, there's less people out there that are probably willing to match you or do what it is that you want to do. And so that's where I always found a lot of comfort knowing that I wanted to be the hardest worker and really try to achieve my dreams. Um, and the one thing I'll say for me growing up and how dedicated I was and how much sacrifice I've taken is that for me, I've never done any drugs or alcohol or smoked or done anything like that in my life, not once. And for me, um, my entire focus is on, if it wasn't going to make me better, I wasn't going to do it. And the reason why I was so serious about that is just because, um, I was working so hard. I wanted to literally just put everything I had into making it as a professional athlete and making it to college to play football. And that, if I didn't make it, and then some reason they said no colleges wanted to take me and I couldn't make it to play professional football or college football, at least I would have known that I did every single thing I could to make it. And I could sleep at night knowing that. Absolutely. But if I wasn't doing all the things that I know I should have been doing, and I was making bad choices, and I was doing things that were going to harm my ability to be the best football player I could be, um, and I didn't make it, then I could never forgive myself. And so that's another thing that I always thought about, and for me, it was is such a powerful kind of moment and decisions that I've been able to make through my life is all centered around just, once again, devoting myself to being the best I could be. Um, and once again, that doesn't take any sort of special talent. It just takes willpower and motivation and having a goal in front of you, like I said, I set a goal when I was 7. And I think it's so important that we all create goals and we all create a dream that we want to achieve. Um, and then just a reminder that we can never get there without the action, right? I mean, a dream is just that. If there's no action, you got to turn that into real life. And, for me, once again, is all those positive decisions, being consistent and doing the things I knew I needed to do to be able to make it, and, and work hard. And once again, that's the only reason why I've made it where I am today is because my willingness to outwork or do more than the other person next to me. Um, I remember there was in high school, we had a conditioning drill in training camp. Like everybody would line up on the line and we'd run 40 yards. And the last 5 people were taken out. They didn't have to run anymore. So technically it's conditioning. They're probably pretty happy. Right. But for me, anytime you say it's a race, I'm saying I'm gonna win, right? I don't care how many times I gotta run, but I'm gonna win. So, every single time we had about 90 guys in the roster throughout the entire team. So we probably ran, I think 15 or 16 40-yard sprints with, minimal rest. And I wasn't the fastest guy on the team. I was probably like the eighth fastest, but as we got down to it, there was 5 of us left. And then they'd eliminate one, and there's 4 of us left, then 3 of us left, and then 2 of us, and the person who won was me. And it wasn't because I was the fastest, right? It's because I was the one who was not willing to lose. I was the one who was willing to push myself harder than the other person, even though my lungs were on fire and my legs were burning, and it was uncomfortable and it was painful and it was hot, and I wished I wasn't have to do it, but I did, right? Like there's all those things I could have decided that and could have made an excuse for that I wasn't going to win this competition. But once you said, we're gonna go see who's the last one standing, like I immediately said that's going to be me. And it's just an example that I got to put out there just once again that you know some of these things they don't happen by accident. Like I wasn't the fastest, right? But I was the one willing to do the most and push myself the hardest. Um, and I think that that's just an important, powerful message that I think all of us can learn from and hear. And I guess growing up too, the thing for me that was it was really natural. Like growing up, I didn't have any really great mentors. I didn't grow up with anybody that I knew that had a facial difference. I was kind of the only one. I didn't know, I couldn't talk to anybody else that was going through anything I was going through. Um, but I kind of figured the way I felt about things, I figured other people felt that same way, but it was clear that they didn't. It was clear that people did not want to compete the way I wanted to or push themselves the way I wanted to. I came in the grade 9 as a freshman and started a weightlifting class, and I wasn't the strongest kid in my class. I was probably like third or fourth strongest, and that ticked me off. It really did. And so, there's kids that maybe started maturing a little faster than me, and they were faster than me as athletes. And but like if you fast forward 3 years in time, um, I'm faster than them. I'm way stronger than them. I'm competing at a higher level and doing more impressive things on the football field than them. And it was just that idea that once again, over that timeline, I was willing to do more than they were. And where they started compared to where they finished compared to me was light years in difference and different. Um, so kind of as I got going, I really understood that, there wasn't a lot of people that wanted to compete and do as much as I wanted to do, and I really took a lot of pride in that. Took a lot of pride in knowing that um, I was truly doing everything I could to be the best I could be, and so for me, like that story is you know, those items are really kind of the things that highlight my success in my life and in my career, and the things that, allow me to do what I do. And I don't think I could do this without having the difficulty that I had growing up and being born with. So once again, I think that my challenge has been my best asset. And I'm proud of that. So I'd say, once again, there wasn't an organization like About Face when I grew up, and I didn't grow up with anybody around me that was dealing with the same thing. So I didn't really have any resources, um, like there is now, which was so good. I didn't have anybody to tell me even a story like this. I didn't have a professional athlete come to my school and tell me how to be successful. Um, I literally just figured this out all on my own, and was competitive and naturally on my own. But I just kind of think how important and how special it would have been to hear this from somebody else that has gone through it, or has gone where I wanted to go and had advice for me. I think that would have been so helpful and so special. And so that's why I'm so passionate about being able to bring my story and bring my message to other people, because I know I wish I would have had that when I was a kid, and how powerful it would become. Um, you know, I think it's one of the biggest challenges growing up for me was really just always dealing with confidence. Feeling like I looked different and I was different than others. I definitely always just had different issues with confidence, whether it was with friends or new people, or girls, things like that. Like, I just had less confidence than your average person. Um, and just despite being, so good in so many other areas, that was one area I feel like I lacked the most in, was just confidence in myself around other people. Um, and so if I could have took anything away from, a group, or like about face back then when I was a kid, that's something I would have been looking to improve so much more on my end, was just my overall confidence as a person in social settings, and things of that nature. The athletic stuff for me was just so natural, and I made a lot of friends, and I was able to assimilate very well. But I mean, as far as in social settings, that was the thing that I lacked the most, and for the longest. Like, I probably didn't really figure it out until I was a professional athlete and started learning more as an adult to be more confident in myself in social settings. And I think that's just a bit natural for and par for the course. But once again, things that I would want to try to bring and help others feel is that, you know, you should have that confidence. I should have had that confidence from day one. And once again, that's why I like being able to come in and kind of share my message and be able to kind of walk in the shoes that you guys are going through, because I've been through it. All our journeys are a little bit different, but they're going to be also quite a bit similar. And I know there's a lot we can take from each other and learn. But kind of at the end of the day, I really hope that my story and the things I've gone through and the things that I've done help to um, shed some positive light on where you guys might be at in your journey, or what you guys are looking to accomplish, or how to support, your kids or your family, or all those things of that nature. Um, for me, I also, now my third child, I have three kids. My third child, his name is Bo. He was born with a bilateral cleft lip and palate. So not only am I dealing with it, I'm also dealing with it now as a parent. Um, for me, which it was a bit scary for me initially finding out, because I know what it was like growing up for myself. And I don't wish it upon anybody. But the good thing that I know is that I've been through it. I know how to help them. And then there's great groups like About Face and other organizations out there that now connect people and help build people to be as best as they can be, and allow people to share messages and connect and know you're not alone, and that there's other people out there with the same struggle and doing great things. And I think that's one of the most important things that gave me a lot of comfort, when Bo came to this world, because I know that he's going to be in great hands. And you know there's this, 1 in 700 kids are born with a cleft of sorts. And so, I mean, there's a lot of kids out there that are going to be just like Bo. It's not like, he's the only one or I'm the only one. There's so many people out there that, we can connect with, and we can be a part of this journey together. And at the end of the day, so happy to be able to be here and speak with you guys and share my story, and be some sort of help, or like I said, positive influence, or something you guys can take something away from. I didn't want to make this all about sports or about football. I want to really make this about, be who you want to be and be the best at it. Like, I'm passionate about just being the best, um, because of the chip I've had on my shoulder. But like, I just want you guys to be the best at whatever it is that you guys want to do, and you guys to know that you absolutely can accomplish it. There's nothing that can stop you except yourself. And if you guys understand that, and we have these talks enough, and you listen to it and you believe it, um, you know, it's truly, there's nothing that will stop you. And just put your mind to it, and anything is capable. So, Kariym, I think that's basically a bit of my story and everything. I know that you said there was going to be maybe a few questions you had already, and maybe we can take some more from
Yeah.
the audience.
Absolutely. Before we get to that, though, I want to say thank you so much for that. I think that your story and your message resonated not only with some of our younger audience members, but some of the adult ones too, parents, and also people with facial differences and without. And honestly, a great message. Thank you so much for providing that today. I'm going to skip right into the questions that you just mentioned. We've got a few young people here who are going to join us in asking their questions, so I'm going to call upon them. First, I believe here on the list we have Huey and Mom Dawn. Definitely, I see you there taking your your mutes off. Please go ahead with your question.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember your question? Go ahead. Is it easy tackling people? You say it louder. Is it easy tackling people?
Is it easy tackling people? Yeah, yeah, it is easy. You know why it's easy? Because I don't want them to get away from me. So for me, it's like it's just a challenge, and I say, you're not gonna get away from me. You're gonna get tackled. So for me, yeah, no, I think it is easy. Um, Especially out there when you got teammates out there to help you too. So you're never alone, and it's good to go out there and play with your friends out there, and all working towards the common goal. Good question.
Thank you. Um, the second question that I have for you is going to be coming from Diane and John. If you could be so kind as to unmute, go for it.
How do you have to be tall to play football?
No, not tall at all. I'm only 5'10". Um, I was always pretty small when I played football. So no, you don't have to be tall at all. The best thing about football is that there's pretty much a position on the field for anybody. It doesn't mean if you're, tall, short, big, small. Football is a game that anybody can play. And I think part of the best part when I was young, and why I like football maybe so much, was I did get to hit people. So, um, there's always that too.
Mhm. Thank you very much. Um, do you have, okay, so I'll continue on. There's a couple of other questions that have been submitted. So definitely, folks, if you have any questions that you'd like to submit in addition to what I'm going to ask, as Danielle said, please let us know in the chat and I'll get to them if there's time permitting. So Adam, next question for you. I know that you mentioned a little bit about the importance of advocating for yourself as something that you wished that you did more of. How do you see awareness and advocacy now that you're a parent of a child with a cleft?
That's a great question. I mean, right now, the good thing is that there's a lot more um, awareness around bullying because of the message of anti-bullying. Like it's really getting out there. Um, so I think we are making a positive change, and I think it's something we need to continue working on. And this starts at in the younger school ages. Like when I'm going to do school visits and doing anti-bullying talks, we're starting, anywhere from first to fourth grade, because bullying really is a learned behavior. And if we can stop it when you're at a young age and have them understand empathy and treating others the way you want to be treated, and those things, we can really get them to focus on that. Then, for me, I think that's where we're going to have a huge impact. But as far as advocacy, I mean, it's the biggest part. And getting someone involved that can help handle and deal with the situation is super important, and it needs to happen every single time in order to discourage behavior, and to be able to ultimately protect your child or protect others, and protect yourself. So, you know, it has to happen. And you're right. I mean, the advocacy is such a big deal. Good question.
Yeah, I agree. Another follow-up, what advice would you give to someone who does not have a cleft about approaching those that do have a cleft or other differences? And how can people without differences be allies?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. It's just one of those things that treat others the way you want to be treated, and you know, don't. I mean, it's impolite to ask, what's wrong with you. I mean, the first thing you meet somebody and they ask, hey, what's wrong? Like it's just impolite. So I mean, definitely do that. Like just talk to the person like they're a normal person because they are. And when you become friends and you get to know them a little better and you're in a personal relationship, I'm sure myself or someone in like myself would be comfortable and open saying, this is the way I was born and this is how I am. And so yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely a great place to start. But that is a good reminder. Like my dad always said that, if someone asks you like anything about the way you look or anything, you just tell them, this is the way I was born, and it's just that simple. And if people can understand that, then, that's their problem, not mine. And that's just the way it goes.
Well put. I feel very similar. What advice do you have for parents? How can they empower their kids living with a facial difference? You already touched on this a little bit, but I guess you can probably go into a little bit more detail.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing is with any kid, no matter what, is just showering them with love and support, and then obviously taking it a little bit step further, just making sure and checking in all the time, and making sure that things are going well at all stages of their life, whether it's at daycare or school or sports or what have you, and just making sure that you're there to listen and let them know that you're able to help in any way possible. I mean, I know my dad and my mom were very, very strong in advocating for me, and they probably did so much stuff on my behalf that I had no idea about, because I only know because of things that I would do for Bo, um, to make sure things are going the way they're supposed to. So, I think just whatever it takes, and the most important thing is just, yeah, shower them with love.
Absolutely. This one's good. Next one is a little bit interesting because it's going to kind of bring together the discussion about facial differences and your actual playing football. Do you feel that having a facial difference made you a better teammate?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's made me a better person in general because, I know what it's like to have a challenge and I can accept anybody else, without even thinking about it. It's something I've actually ever thought about, but it's something that, yeah, innately, like, we all are different in our own ways. And part of us being on this earth is being able to accept that. I mean, um, so for me, I think it definitely has made me a better teammate. I think at a very young age, I understood empathy and what it's like to be in someone else's shoes, and I think that's the most important thing that we all as humans have to understand is how is someone else feeling? How would I feel if I was in that person's shoes? And you know, if we can understand that, then we're all going to be better people.
Absolutely agreed. Um, kind of touching on that a little bit, did having your cleft impact your thinking while playing sports, or did you ever have the question of or worry about damaging the work of your surgeons while playing football?
I had no worries at all. I'm sure my dad did. Um, you know, I really didn't think about it at all. I know there were certain times where, I think dad reminded me that, you got to wear your mouth guard, or you got to do this, or you got to do that. But um, for me, I wasn't too worried, but I was a pretty fearless kid growing up, and I didn't want, and I liked that, my dad he didn't try to protect me in every little possible way. I like that he gave me the ability to go out there and, you know, just kind of find my way, and how I wanted to do some things too. So I do like that he, wasn't too overprotective on things like that, and allowed me to kind of feel like I was normal too, right?
Mhm. Absolutely. Um, so then I've got two follow-up questions. So we've kind of talked a little bit about your experience having a facial difference, being a parent of somebody with a facial difference. But one aspect of this whole kind of web of our realities that often missed is siblings. So we have a question here. What kind of things do you and your wife do to prepare your older children for Beau's arrival?
It's a good question. AJ was just turning 4, almost 4, and then Leah was um, must have been just turned 2, so she was already 2, and so they're pretty young. So we kind of knew that they weren't going to have a lot of awareness, but we did kind of just um, you know, we did kind of go through and just let them know as much as we could that, Beau is going to look a little bit different than you guys when you guys are born, um, just to kind of let them know. And but the funny thing is that, like, I don't think they even noticed, like, when he was born. Like, they never asked about it. They kind of look at pictures now, and we show them pictures when Beau was born, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that was Beau's lip when he was born." Like, now they can kind of recognize that there was a little bit different. Um, but like, now they understand the story. But then Beau went to the doctor, and they fixed him, and Beau's great. So like, um, I think definitely, having siblings kind of on board and prepared is important, and being supporting, and whatever level that might be, because the age ranges are obviously always going to be different, and sometimes they're older, it's going to take a little bit more effort, and younger, less effort. um, but yeah, siblings, I think they have a very big responsibility of being the biggest advocates and biggest supporters. um, so I know, I will be teaching AJ and Leah that, that's their responsibility to make sure their younger brother is looked after. And, so I think that is very important. Like, growing up for me, I guess I had a really good friend who was about 4 years older than me. And I kind of looked at him like he was an older brother. And, so he helped take care of a lot of issues for me when I was growing up at school stuff too. So I kind of felt like he was a brother to me. And, so those are all good things to have.
Absolutely. Well, I want to be definitely cognizant of time. So we've got about 10 minutes left. So I'll just ask two more questions. This one is a little bit of a lighter question. What do you like to do when you're not playing football?
It's a good question. My days are so busy right now. I don't really have many hobbies left, but things that I if I could pick up and do anything, I like hiking, I like rock climbing, snowboarding, um, dirt bikes or ATVs, or just getting out and, being active. I like working out. I like just playing sports, even casually, with friends. I like playing some video games, and So my son right now, he's 5, AJ, he's starting to like to play video games. So I'll hop on and play some video games with him. So that's some fun downtime I get to do right now with AJ. And yeah, so those are all things that that I like. Oh, also golf. I like to golf too. My wife is quite the golfer, so I'll go out there and let her beat me. Not let her. She actually just beats me.
Fair enough. I lied a little bit because one question just came in under the wire, so I'm going to definitely ask for that one. What advice do you have for healthcare providers to best support our patients and families through their cleft or craniofacial journeys? Is there anything that you wish your cleft program had when you were growing up to help better support you or your family?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think this is just kind of down to like sometimes you don't know what you don't know. Like I don't know if it could have been better, but I know it could have been worse. You know, like I felt like I was supported when I went to, Oregon Health Science Center, and I saw all the doctors, and we made all our rounds, made all our time. To me, as a kid, I felt supported. Yeah, now as a parent, with Bo, this is some challenging times with COVID and being able to get in for normal appointments that Bo should have in person. We're not able to do right now and stuff like that. So some of these things are understandable. But so far, I feel like we have a great team here in Winnipeg and surrounded around Bo, from the surgeons to the dental to ear, nose, and throat, to speech. Like we're kind of getting everything kind of connected around him that is all part of what is needed. So we definitely feel supported there, and we're kind of we're looking forward to the journey of seeing what that's going to be like for Bo. And yeah, so I mean, what we can do best. I mean, the most important thing I think is um, just being aware of people's time. Time is important, and how much time it takes for a mom or for a dad to take their son or child through these events and through these, making sure appointments are try to be back to back, and you're in and out, and you see everybody, and it's not an all day affair, and you can, make it work as well as you can for people. That's helpful. And just by, I mean, honestly, I remember that from on my own when I was young, is that it was so like the doctors were all fun, the nurses were all fun, like the waiting rooms were fun, like they had toys. And I think that here in Winnipeg we have that experience too. Everyone's so nice, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be a similar environment. So just being able to keep it light and fun with the kids and continue to empower them and let them be who they are, kids, that's important.
Absolutely. I definitely share that experience as well. So with just 5 minutes in, I guess the final question I have, and I'm just going to like leave it open to you, Adam. If of all the things that you've said today, and you've had so many strong messages and great things, and you had to distill it to just one final set of words or message for the kids in the facial difference community, um, what is that one thing you would want to absolutely make sure that they know above anything else?
um I mean, it's really just about believing in yourself, right? Believe in yourself and who you want to be, and go do it. And don't ask for permission. Don't let people second guess you. Just go do it. And because I mean, I know people, us with a facial difference, sometimes we're scared to jump in and do something and just push ourselves in the front and be maybe in the limelight, or maybe be visible. Um, be visible and go do whatever it is that you want to do, and don't let anything stop you. I think that, and believe in yourself, I think those are the most important things that you can do. Because without that confidence and believing in yourself, um, it's hard to make meaningful steps forward in life in general. So absolutely just believe in yourself and move forward. And that's one of the most powerful things you can have, I think.
I agree. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for being our guest today, for sharing your story. I believe that everybody here who's been in attendance has been definitely inspired by your story. And I hope that the people who will get to watch this in the future, as we, like we put it into a video for other folks to watch, that they could also be inspired by this too. So thank you for that, Adam. And I also want to extend a thank you to everybody here today. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your questions with Adam. And I think we've had a really great discussion today. And yeah, that's really it. Thank you so much again, Adam, for sharing your story.
Yeah, no, thanks for everybody who logged on and stayed for the message and for the talk. Happy to do it. Happy to share my story. Like I said, I wish someone did this when I was a kid and I was able to hear some of these words, and I know how powerful it can be. Just because sometimes if you don't ever hear a message or no one ever tells you that you can, maybe you don't think you can because no one ever told you, right? But the fact is that, you know, I'm letting you guys know that you guys can do whatever you want. My story proves it, and so many others before your stories prove it. And you know, so if you didn't know, now you know. And looking forward to seeing your guys' progress.
Couldn't say anything better than that. Thank you so much, Adam.
Thanks, guys.
I'll turn it back over to you, Danielle.